Good evening, Professor. Uh, First slide is I'm pretty much my home within the military since I did 23 honorable years with the United States Army. It's my combat unit, which is the 101st Airborne Division. This is where I showed all my skills that I learned when I went to Ranger School and graduated in January 2000. That is me on the right side. Um, December 2012, graduating United States Army Drill Sergeant Academy. This presentation is going to be about legal issues in kinesiology, pretty much what I learned in your class by myself, Dave Ramirez, United States Army retired. Right, the picture on the right is while I was in Afghanistan in our chow hall. That's my flag in the background on the left-hand side. It's a Ranger flag. Um, in the beginning, I wanted to be in a position to where I can help one-on-one veterans rehabilitate with either mentally or physically, most likely physically, showing them that there's more to drinking, becoming overweight. They were warriors before, showing them how to work out from CrossFit to HIIT training uh, to just basic free weight training or calisthenics. I changed my mind once I started this course again when I seen a lot of issues within the VA. My goal is to be in a position of, you can say, to where I can influence and make change, where I can fire toxic employees, where I can change policy, where I can promote those who deserve it, where I can help mold section and department heads, pretty much in a director's position. The picture on the right is me in South Korea, 1995. I was an M60 machine gunner. All right, on the right, that's me, 1995. It's winter, big old blizzard came in single digits, and I'm in full cold weather gear. I was a rifleman, actually a grenadier. That's if you see the long tube, that's a M203 grenade launcher. So the first risk management is medical malpractice. First court case that I found was Carol versus the United States. Carol was getting treatment in leg, sued because there's complications. Pretty much they said the statute of limitations was expired after 2 years, and he was still getting treatment, so there was no need to sue. He appealed. The Second Circuit ruled that statute of limitations was not an excuse, that he was continuing getting treatment, and he won his case. The second was Duval, which was a veteran, a old timer, 84-year-old veteran. He underwent a PCI, which is a heart procedure, March of 2015, following a heart attack. The court ruled in favor of the VA after all the case was done. But what this case did was opened up the door, showing that if an old timer is not afraid of the VA on anything that is issued with medical malpractice, that to sue, pretty much as long as they have the evidence to pursue that issue. Picture on the right is me, 2014, summer time frame. I was on 24-hour duty. It was about a little over 100 degrees, 100% humidity. Kind of tired. I've been up for quite a while. The next risk management is racial discrimination. Is a monk versus the Veterans Affair. He was not an employee. He was a veteran. He sued the VA because he felt, because of a whistleblower, he felt that he was being they were partially giving him disability benefits. They weren't taking care of him at the VA. He couldn't get full benefits, education, and he couldn't get all the benefits for housing to buy a house. Whistleblower gave him some information documents saying that it wasn't just him, but it was people of color that were racially discriminated against in regards to benefits, that white veterans were actually getting all these benefits. It's an ongoing case as of 2024, but this should open up even more doors in regards to how the VA racially, you can say, profiles veterans. Even though we're on the same team, a lot of us still get hated upon by the VA. Risk management. That's me on the right. Before this, after the winter, Um, that's when I was in armor. That's an M24 Remington sniper rifle. It had a Leopold scope. It's a 7.62 grain. Um, the next one is wrongful termination. So there was a court case. Jamie Foxx. She was in a position to where she was the final say on veterans getting their disability rating from either 0 or to 100%. She's seen a case that she felt that the veteran can give more information. So she asked the VA if she can get more information, more documents on him, if she can send him a letter. The VA said no, so they fired her. That she did nothing wrong, and it's an ongoing case. There has been an outcome yet, but if she does win her case, she from the time she got released fired to now, she will get all that back pay and most likely be hired back to work within the VA. Ishan Wright was a few days before we redeployed from Afghanistan in 2011. That piece of metal right there was from an 81 millimeter recoilless rifle that blew up. I want to say about foot, 12 inches, 14 inches above my head. It knocked me out. Almost took my life. I wanted to bring it home, but our little custom section said no, so I took a picture with it. So the next risk management is sexual harassment. There was a cardiologist in the Palo Alto VA, Giacomin. He was found guilty of sexual conduct. There was a young doctor, female, and that she filed a claim. She filed a claim of sexual misconduct. Pretty much every time she would meet up with him, he would advance with her, try to give her kisses, grow up her breasts, her genitalia area, her buttocks. Finally, she left the VA, but she still filed a claim and sued. And he was found guilty. He admitted to everything, all the charges, and he pretty much got fired from the VA. She did not want to return back to the VA, but he's going to spend some time in federal custody in prison. That little bunny, so the little fire behind it, that's within our walls. That's our burn pits. If you haven't heard, the VA is running a big old campaign for veterans to come out and register if they were around burn pits, which we didn't know. And at the time, I was a smoker. Um, and pretty much after my deployment, I got asthma, and I was a long distance runner, so I couldn't run that far anymore. So that little bunny was one of my team leaders, and that's an actual real grenade, and that's where we're at, Pop, Michigan, Pesh River Valley, pretty much at the entrance to the Valley of Death, which was labeled because all the Taliban would come down. Um, some employment. So there are things for employment when it comes to hiring. Um, since there's a hiring freeze right now, the Department of War is not hiring any type of civilians into civil service. They're pretty much hiring from within. So competitive hiring and non-competitive hiring. So competitive hiring is pretty much you can say like the good old boys club that we talked about. They're hiring from within. You still have to qualify for it, so you can't be a cook working in the cafeteria wanting to be a pharmacist, within the VA. You have to meet the qualifications. They pretty much look at you. If they can't find nobody, then they go to the non-competitive hiring to pretty much, they look at outside of the VA, whoever wants to hire. It doesn't have to be a veteran. It can be just a regular civilian that wants to hire it. Equal pay and better pay. Um, there was a court case in 2024. It was two doctors, two pharmacists. Both had the same education. I'm sorry. The female doctor, Dr. Leslie Boyer, she had a master's degree, and her competitor, male competitor, that was hired with her, he's not a competitor, but he didn't have a master's degree. But she found out through a whistleblower that he was getting paid several $1,000s more than she did, even though she was more qualified than him. But she sued, and the reasoning that he was getting paid more is that he came from within the DoD, Department of Defense, and he was at a level to where you get a little bit more pay. So he kind of took a small pay cut, but it was still more what she got hired with. and she won her case. Pretty much, they had to compensate her all that back pay, and pretty much she had to get the same pay as him. Retention within the Department of War. Right now, there is a huge hiring freeze, but as of 2025, the VA was going to release. I still don't know why. Couldn't find out. Up to 30,000 employees. We're in dire need of employees. Um, Even in my position within the Department of War, they need positions, but they can't hire enough because of the hiring freeze. So retention is a big issue. Um, there are certain things that the VA can do um, uh, to avoid being sued. In the article, how to fire someone without getting sued. Pretty much, I chose that article. It was in a previous paper because if I become in a position of authority to where I can fire people, I need to know stuff like this. So if they do come after me, I can cover myself and not embarrass the VA, the federal government, or myself or my family. One thing is when you hire one trait that these executives says when they hire somebody, they have them sign a document saying they cannot sue that company if they are wrongfully terminated. That's I've never heard of that, but it's something to cover you in case you have to fire somebody, not wrongfully, but just to fire somebody. The next one is to document everything. That's something that I learned in the Army when I became a leader. Anytime my subordinates did something wrong or something great, I have documented it. So when it came for promotion, I can show documentation. Or when it came for demotion or removing from the military, I have a paper trail. And then something that I did as a leader in the Army is everybody knew how to know from the lowest private to my section leaders. They had to know the duties of responsibility and the standards. Pretty much not to embarrass the unit, not to embarrass the military, not to embarrass the family in a negative way. That's something that I would do in a director's role to where I would let them know there is somewhat of a dress code. We're not from the streets. We are representatives of the Veterans Affairs Office, which is the federal government agency. We have to act in a professional manner on and off duty, especially with what's going on with social media. Not to embarrass yourself. Anything that happens like that will be documented, and it is a means of termination. Okay, what I learned. So that little base right there was at the intersection of the Pesh River Valley and the Corongo Valley. That's what's called our combat outpost, our COP Michigan, and that's pretty much where we lived for almost a year, well, up to a year, 11 months. Um, Pretty much the stuff that I learned. If I become in that director's role or a department head or something like that, I got to be careful with my employees, even my as a supervisor, or even with my supervisors, on how I act and what to say, so I don't get in trouble. One thing I would do um, in that position is in the Army we would have what's called climate surveys. That's how you find out. Um, what the atmosphere is within a company of about 120 men. Are the leaders toxic? Is it bad? Is it racial? Is there sexual harassment or is there drugs? That's what I would do as a section leader or as a department head. I would do a survey, have everybody here do this stuff. It's you don't have to put your name on it, and I review it, and I would find out the climate. I would look over policy, see what's outdated, what's not up to date, what just makes no sense, or what is just it's going in the burn pit kind of deal. I would identify with the climate survey. Part of it is you label good employees, bad employees, good bosses, bad bosses, and see if there's paper trail. If there's a paper trail because they're toxic employees or toxic leaders, then they're getting removed. We don't need people like that. I would rather have a department that needs 60 people, but if 30 of them are toxic, I'd rather have 30 good employees to run that department, and it would run smoothly. Um, what else? Yes. Okay, that's me before one of our patrols. It's a day patrol. Day patrols are scary because it's in the day. Behind me is the wall to the north. That's the entrance to the Valley of Death, which is the Korangal Valley. That's where we usually get hit from all those mountains, even the farthest one to the back. It was that rock was called Ranger Rock. So um, something something that I would use. I found four four things out of the Bible using God's. I put it as God's word to guide someone, me, in a position of authority. Um, when it comes, whenever you do work, work at it with all your heart, pretty much as working for the Lord. Pretty much your work ethic. You don't want to be lazy. You don't want to get caught sleeping. You don't want to do half work. You don't want to rush to failure with your work. If you need help, ask for help. And that's part of my job as a leader to see how your work ethic is. Um, and that's then the next one is clothe yourself with humility towards one another, for God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. That's in regards to respecting each other. Um, the next one, be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgive one another, as God is Christ forgave you. Pretty much forgiveness. I'm big on forgiveness. Um, there are times that good employees go through a rough patch in their lives, and you have to be able to help them instead of coming down hard at them and be negative or firing them. Um, Actively replacing old habits with new. Learning how to be a good person. Um, know your mistakes. Learn from your mistakes. Um, you want to change. It's easy to change, but you have to ask for help even that. The last thing, part of this PowerPoint, is beliefs, morals over work. Um, I know a lot of people on active duty, even where I work now, they are, um, they believe in God, but I don't see them apply any of God's teachings to work. I'm still learning God's teaching. I'm not a subject matter expert. I'm still learning. I try to do right. But there was one instance, and I carry with me all the time. There was one of my soldiers. He was a good man, a team leader. Did what he followed orders. He did a lot of great things in Afghanistan when we were out there. Um, when we came back, he went out with his friends to grab a beer, and he got drugged. He didn't know. He thought because we had just came back that those beers were too strong, but he knew he was drugged because he never did drugs. He had gotten drunk before, but he didn't feel drunk. He felt differently. He calls me from one of the gates to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and well, what the security guard called me, and I went to go get him. It was his first offense. They wanted to court martial him. They wanted to punish him. They wanted to demote him. Um, I said no. But he never lied to me. He told me the honest truth. He told everybody the exact same story. Um, they wanted to court martial him. So what I did is I did what needed to be done, the correct thing, and went to bat for him and saved his career. He only did 3 years, but um, I try to preach. We have to forgive. No one's perfect except Jesus Christ. But a lot of these people that say they know the Bible, they didn't know forgiveness, and that's one thing I learned. Is I'm still learning it right now. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm still trying to teach myself all kinds of stuff, but forgiveness is one of my biggest things. Um, this. And the next slide is all my references that I use. I try to find court cases, and there they are. Thank you, Professor.